I'm excited for this one. We've had a lot of conversations of people when I'm sending out messages about this, so I'm really excited to hear the conversation today. So special thanks to our webinar partners today, Arctic IT, our presenters, Bryan from Arctic IT and Rita from Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe in Massachusetts. The session today will be recorded at tribalwise.com, and you'll also receive a copy of it after the session today. So if you want, feel free to share that out with anyone on your team who might not be able to attend today. A couple of learning objectives to think about while we're going through the presentation today. Don't forget to, this is an interactive presentation, so throw those questions at us using the chat, or if you want to use the Q&A button on the very bottom, absolutely use that. We'll make sure to get those answered. Want to make sure this is a good session for you, so let us know what your questions are. What's coming up next at Tribal Hub? We are in the middle of 5 regional roundtable events, and we have 3 left. One in the Northwest, Pacific Northwest, Seattle region. The other one next week coming up at Treasure Island Casino, Minnesota. And then the last one in Michigan in the first part of June. So if you are in those regions and you'd like to sign up, visit tribalhub.com. And with that, Bryan, I'm going to turn it over to you. Stop my screen share.
Sounds great. Thank you. So
yeah, you're welcome.
We'll share my screen. And when you can see my screen?
Yep, it looks good.
All right. So thank you for everyone for joining us on this webinar. I appreciate you taking your time out of your busy day. I know I saw that we got a great group of people that are attending. I saw the number of the tribes represented in the attendees. I've actually had the opportunity to speak to in the past, so that's great. And thank you for taking the time to learn more about this opportunity to ditch your current spreadsheets and member management tools that you may be using and learn about other options they may be available. I'm really looking forward to including Rita in the conversation as she's been a long-time customer that we've worked with and help tell her story of how she has seen the benefit of using a tribal member management system. So brief agenda for today's webinar. I'm going to briefly go through the Arctic IT partnership, talk a little bit about the operational challenges that many of the tribes that we work with run into today, some of the benefits of using a platform-based solution, and then talk a little bit more about what it means to move to the cloud and move to hosted environments and some of the implications of that. And then we've got a few questions Q&A session for Rita to give us some of her perspectives. And then we'll do a sneak peek and introduce tribal platforms and an option for you to consider in moving from your current legacy systems that you may be using today to a platform-based solution. Okay, so just introducing Arctic IT a little bit. We've got deep roots within the tribal sector. We've been working with tribes closing in on 20 years, working with many different tribes across the United States. We are an Alaska-based, our native-owned organization. So that is, we understand that the implication of the solutions that we provide, and we are one of the few tribally owned Microsoft Gold partners that Microsoft works with. So here's just a brief slide to show you where many of the tribes that we work with are across the United States and Alaska. So just give you a brief sense that we've got some experience in working with tribes and guiding them through this transition from their legacy systems. So quick solution overview, talking about some of the challenges that many tribes face today. One of the things that many run into is that silo of different departments within the organization. There's very little cross-department collaboration. You might have education teams or housing teams, and every time they need to verify that somebody's a member, they need to make a phone call over to enrollment. Enrollment is kind of the central hub, so to speak, for your tribe organization. But each of those teams kind of work and build solutions or use solutions that are purpose-built maybe for their department, because that's the way they've had to operate in the past. Now, there's something else that's changing is with the recent COVID being done, but digital expectations. Many of your tribal members are starting to realize that, hey, it takes too much time for me to travel to the government offices to receive services or apply for services. I would like to be able to do that from my mobile phone or from my tablet or laptop at home. So the expectations are changing and how you deliver services to your members. So that's a challenge that many tribes face with their current legacy systems they have. And then they want to be able to use automation. They're maybe receiving too many requests or for help or many changes of addresses that need to be processed. How many of those could be automated for communication, reminders, those kinds of things? So that's another challenge that many of the legacy applications don't afford your team. So what are things that could help you become more efficient? And the data sovereignty is obviously a really high priority for many different tribes. That is making sure that they own the data. And just so I can help everyone understand that the solutions and everything that we're providing and we're talking about today, we do consider them sovereign to the nation. They're hosted in subscriptions that are owned by the tribe, and you own the data, you manage access to it. So it's really important for you to understand that we understand that the data sovereignty question and issue, and we only propose solutions that meet those requirements that many tribes face today. All right, so what is your department using? Are you using those file cabinets? Many tribes that we run into use paper files. They may be just keeping folders and so forth and managing access to the folder. Sometimes that folder will get removed for one department or another and doesn't make it back into the file cabinet. So all of a sudden now your team has to spend time hunting down that folder where it might be. That can be a really big challenge for many different tribes that aren't working on digitizing their records that they have for their members. So moving off of file cabinets and paper is a really important step. Spreadsheets. This is a common scenario. I've run into many tribes that either use spreadsheets, access databases, or other basic tools to manage your member enrollment. And you're doing that because that's what tools are available for you. So we understand the need to be able to use those tools and use it, but it's not secured. It doesn't have a lot of processes or ways to manage and make sure that data is up to date and correct. So it's really important to understand that we run into this quite often. Many tribes are using spreadsheets and so forth, and they need to move off and become more secure and put some workflows and protection around that data. And obviously then legacy applications. There are many different competitive products that are out there or legacy apps that are on-premise only on a local desktop that might be under somebody's desk that has worked for many years for different tribes. But the capability to provide new and modern technologies to help members manage their own data and protect the data, to perform backups and all that, and manage the security, and then allow your team to work across department. That's where some of these tools don't support those scenarios. So that's why we see all sorts of different applications that different vendors have provided on the industry. And it's not uncommon where teams are saying, hey, I need to modernize. I need to move off of these legacy systems that I've been using for maybe decades and move into a modern solution. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about, what does that mean? What's it mean to move to a platform-based solution and bring that into a cloud environment that affords me access to that information when I need it, where I need it. So it's really time to think about that. The efficiencies of managing data and the data security. That's a really important element that is important in these systems, is that the data that or the processes and systems that we're talking about are typically much more secure and have more security around them to protect the data than maybe any of the previous systems may have afforded your team. So one possible solution that we have proposed for many different tribes, and it's really starting to take hold, and many different tribes are making this move, is to a solution that we call tribal platforms, built on a Microsoft-based solution stack called the Power Platform, which gives us the ability to host it in an environment that is sovereign to your nation. It's you own the subscription, you own the data, and you manage the access to the data using what's called role-based security for your staff to be able to manage that information. What are some of the big reasons why we've chosen that? is because we get to build on a platform that affords lots of access, maybe some of the tools that you may be already using, such as Microsoft 365 or Office 365, and which are natively integrated to the platform. The mobility aspect, that's one of the things that Microsoft touts with these solutions and the platform, is that you can access your data anytime, anywhere on any device. So whether you're using a phone or a laptop or a tablet device, your team now has mobility scenarios that just aren't available with many of the legacy applications without some special IT infrastructure to be able to support that. Plus the data security. Arctic IT is a security first organization. So that is one of the things that we bring to say, how can we make sure that this sensitive member data has the best security and the latest security policies applied to the system, so that we're making sure that that most important asset that your tribe manages has all the security policies and protocols around it to make sure that it's very, very got the security firewalls around it. Plus, now that you've got this in a cloud environment, we can add feature enhancements, either the enhancements that come from Microsoft or for us applying software updates. It's much easier to deploy those feature enhancements and add new applications and capabilities to the platform because it is so flexible, but it's all built in your environment. And so that's an important element to understand, is that now you've got a life cycle where you can manage the applications yourselves with really great tools that are available to you from a platform. So it's a brief introduction on that. And realize that you're not the first, you wouldn't be the first tribe that's making this move. This data slide came from Microsoft, and that's a little dated, but you'll see that there are many different tribes that are moving to the cloud and moving to our platforms. So don't feel like you're blazing this trail. There's lots of tribes and organizations that have made this move, and they've really seen some productivity gains in making this transition. Now, what does it take to move to the cloud? So let's briefly talk about that. There are many different migration scenarios and how we do that. If you're working from paper, typically there's a process where we work with your paper documents, scan those with an approved printer or a scanner, and take that information, extract some information from that. It can be automated. If there are specific forms that you have, we can automate that scanning, populating fields, and creating records in the system. So that is a little more labor intensive to scan those documents. And sometimes tribes will hire temporary staff to scan or digitize those current documents that you have and bring those records out into a cloud environment that's potentially more secure and more accessible by the rest of the team. Importing spreadsheet or importing data from spreadsheets, that's a common scenario, and the platform supports the ability, if you've got that data organized in such a way that it's cleansed and it's current and it's there's no duplicates and so forth, that data is really easy to import right directly into the system. So importing from spreadsheets, it's a low impact, and you get a really great productivity gain, and it's an easy path to move from importing spreadsheets into getting that data into a cloud hosted environment. And then doing the automated migration. Maybe you have that legacy application such as Progeny or other SQL databases that have the data organized for your members. Those are automated migration scenarios are easy to script and move that data. Maybe it got attached documents related to those records. The automated script can help bring that data and make sure that it's brought over. The records are associated correctly, checked making sure there's no duplicate data and that kind of thing. So that one is a low impact on your team, just a matter of making sure that the source data is clean, deduplicated is what it's called, and ready to be scripted to bring that data into the overall system. So all three scenarios are not terrible. The easiest of three are the importing of the spreadsheet, but no, if you're using a legacy application, we can definitely support that scenario and script that process. So it minimizes the impact on your team to be involved in that process. All right, so now with that, I wanted to invite Rita to give us a little bit of a introduction and talk about her scenario and her transition from moving from a legacy application. So Rita, for you, what was your decision process to say, hey, we need to look at modernizing your member management?
Well, thank you for having me, Bryan. The reason I needed to move, well, I spent 22 years in computer systems and support for a global corporation. And when I started working for my tribe, I felt confined with the legacy application I was using because I would have to build reports each time because you add more members in. So I'd have to rebuild a report. If someone asked for something specific, I would have to build a report. It would take time to do this. And I had a screen that was as big as a phone on my monitor, and I couldn't resize it. And it was painfully slow to pull up membership information, one person at a time, screen by screen by screen. And we have over 3,000 members in my tribe, and it was painful coming from an IT perspective to work in such a slow mode. It's like learning to type all over again.
No, that's great. So what improvements have you seen from moving from that applications, either from managing the data or your daily business process? How has that moved from that legacy system to tribal platforms? How has it changed and improved the way that you deliver services?
Well, the big improvement is being able to have our other departments who we all have the same clients. So they have access to find out if someone's enrolled, what their address is, update their address or phone number. We were able to give one department, it's called a wraparound service. She had access to social security numbers where nobody else did. They don't have to call me. They can find the information. If they need a report, I can write a report for them. They can write a report for themselves, but it's a fast tool. If my tribal council asks me, okay, what's the latest number of tribal members? It's a matter of seconds that I can pull it up. It saves a lot of time and energy. With separating by department who gets access to what, my ICWA people have safety concerns, of course, and they're able to attach documents, put in notes, things like that. I myself do scan into the database, any new membership information. So I never have to touch the actual file once a person is enrolled. It's just sitting there in my file cabinet. That's because BIA doesn't get it in my scenario. But yeah, those are just some of the things, ways it's helped.
That's awesome. So how about the team collaboration? Tell us a little bit about, I mean, you mentioned the cross department. What are some of the ways that it's improved that collaboration through the communication and how that's helped?
So what we do here is, like any tribe, we provide services. There are forms that need to be filled out. And in most cases, you can actually, okay, so I actually built a form within the platform for my 477 program. So they do intake automatically, pull up the name, it automatically populates the form, and you can hyperlink it over to the next department that's your servicing. I like that feature a lot because you can do housing forms. There's so many forms that anybody uses in any business that you can actually build it within there, populate it, pass it along, even to the point of your membership getting access from the web and filling out their own forms. Now, not all of them can fill out forms, elderly, some have disabilities, but it's available for someone to help them do it. If you think of it that way, you're not discouraged just because you don't have a computer or you don't have the ability to use it.
No, that's great. That's great. Thank you for that story. That's awesome. So what advice would you give to any of the tribes that are using spreadsheets or these legacy applications and things to consider before moving to, some of these modern solutions?
Well, I think the modern solution to me is the fact that it's secure, more secure than a spreadsheet. A lot of people don't realize that if you keep spreadsheets on your workspace, on your desktop of your computer, and something happens, you could lose it. And losing membership data is not anything any of us want to do. So it's really important to move from spreadsheets. Even just a network outage, you've lost maybe a day or however long, information if you're putting it on a spreadsheet. My entire goal is to never have to go into my files again. Never have to print a piece of paper just to pass it along. And that means that my departments, my tribal council, they have tribal platforms reporting that they can pull up anytime. They don't have to contact me. I don't have to give the election committee a printout of who the membership is, who's registered to vote and not. They can pull it up on the screen. Simple as that.
That's awesome. That's a great scenario. Thank you for sharing that. So anything else you would like to share with the audience?
Well, I guess future wise, I would like to be in the cloud. I'll always have my files because this tribe doesn't want to send them to BIA, and a lot of them don't. And that's not a problem. I like the security of the cloud. Like you say, you have a network outage, something happens, power goes out, and I can access it if it's in the cloud. And that's security to me. I can keep working. My tribe can keep working and servicing people.
Yeah, that's great. Because I know one of the scenarios that we've heard about a couple times with tribes is they want to have or provide the ability for their members to be maybe update their ID cards or, and what they've done is they'll actually bring their ID card printer with a laptop out to a tribal event, maybe a powwow or some other event. And they'll actually set up a desk to allow members to update their address, update their information, reprint an ID card if needed. But the ability to have that mobile scenario and be where your members are and provide that capability is a big benefit, right, to the members, because now you're providing a service to them where they are, maybe some event that the tribe may be hosting. So that's also another opportunity with that mobile scenario. Cool. Thank you, Rita. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. So moving on. So I'm going to talk a little bit more and just introduce the Tribal Platforms Cloud application and what a solution that we have built that is available to your organization. So it's designed and made for tribal government and organizations, and it's designed as a centralized member master database. In the same way you use that spreadsheet or that legacy application to manage all your membership, this becomes a center of which then we can add on different applications built out with specific scenarios in ways that different departments work together to provide services to your members. Enrollment is really that hub, really that center of everything. And protecting that member data with the proper security is really, really super important. You're going to hear me say that multiple times. Security is the most important thing and one of the reasons why we've chosen this as a platform. And building this on the Microsoft Power Platform, it allows us to enforce policies that you may have. So, for example, a household, you have scenarios where a family or maybe a divorced family are trying to claim their children in multiple households for the purposes of receiving benefits. You can enforce the policy to say, hey, that child can only be claimed in one household. You can change it from one to another, but it can only be claimed in one household, thereby, enforcing that department policy to say, hey, you're only eligible for these services for the child if they live in your household. So you can use the system to enforce those policies, in ways that the tribe has actually set up services and programs in your organization. And then being able to assign business rules and workflows for automation and data validation. If a member makes too much money or has a job and they're making too much money, that may be a threshold there. Say if they make too much money, they may not be eligible for certain services. As an example, where we can use these business rules and workflows to help enforce those policies. It's a really important element to understand. And then using, like we said, using the portal. That's another key aspect of the platform that allows us to say, how can we design a scenario or provide a portal for your members to be able to log in, see their personal information, submit their address change information, change their income information, change their employment date details if that's important. But at a minimum, be able to present the current information that's in your enrollment system to the individual and give them an opportunity to be able to correct it, fix those errors, or update as things change. And maybe apply for services. We're seeing that as a common trend now for different applications. We want members to be able to request those services. One of them that we run into is a car seat program for new moms or new families. The tribe made a set of car seats available, but they have to go to a training class or a new parenting class before that they get that car seat. And that's where members can go onto the portal, apply for a first come a spot on that training program, and then be able to get a car seat at the end of that. So there's many different ways that you can engage especially your younger members who are expecting those online services, which is maybe a little bit different than the way you've served your tribal members in the past, that expect that high touch, phone call conversation. Okay. So, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but just realize that this, tribal platforms, enrollment is the center of everything. But we've got, family and child service case management with a family wellness application, and your program management. That's where you can set up all of those different aspects. The community portal is another key element. We have tribal court case management. So you can use that to be able to allow your court team to manage all the documents and all their hearings and everything with that. And the distribution payments application is designed as an application that looks at maybe your per capita or general welfare payments. So you make either monthly or quarterly, however often you do that, to manage those recurring payments for your members. So that's real brief. So again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. Just realize that this is a quick list of all the different features that are available within each of these applications. And then, of course, not only do we support or provide the application for you, but we also, RTKT also includes the application support. So if you need that help desk, if you need additional trainings, if you need help managing your licenses or strategy sessions, we're there as a resource for your team through this program to help you and help your IT team reduce their workload to focus on their things that they deem to be strategic, that are more important for them to work through. All right, with that, we'll move on. So I'll step into the part of the presentation where we'll focus on a little bit of a sneak preview of tribal platforms. The first thing you'll notice is that I'm running in a browser, and I can, and because I'm running in a browser, as long as my laptop, phone, whatever, or tablet is connected to the internet, I can have access to my data. So I can take this screen, and it's what's called a responsive design. So I can take that screen. I'm going to simulate the scenario of running on a mobile device. You'll see how it automatically reorients the data to be sensitive to the information that I'm presenting. So I can see that dashboard, or if I've got a tablet format like this, it automatically reorients everything that's displayed on the screen to maximize the screen space that's available to you. So that's an important element of accessing the data. And the other piece is that the data itself, the membership data, is not brought down to the device. That's another key aspect. Sending your member data through an Excel spreadsheet through email is a very insecure option that I would highly recommend that you don't do that, because that spreadsheet, once it's gone through email, you don't know how that data, that spreadsheet is being used by the recipients. So it's important to keep your sensitive member data, secure it in a place, not on a local device, not on a mobile phone or anything. It's all kept up in the cloud, and the data is only presented to me only what I have permission to see. So that's an important element to understand. All right. So, and the other aspect is that now once I've got this browser, I can have different dashboards. So I can have, these are just a couple of the out of the box dashboards that are available. But maybe, for example, you create a dashboard. You can actually create your own dashboard. We train you on how to use the tools to set up. Maybe you create a dashboard just for your tribal council members, so they can log in and at least have an ability to see their current member data and answer specific questions, about their members in different, age groups, The members of the tribe, what is our tribal membership? What is their military status or marital status or gender? So there's lots of different ways you can present the data in live real time. So, I mean, literally, I click refresh and that data is a live query into your system to answer those questions that you may have. So that's an important element to understand.
Bryan, we just had a question come in.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's asking, is the travel data within the tenant protected by CMK?
CMK.
Or just by our BAC? Sure, that's some kind of acronym.
Role-based
Consumer managed key.
Yeah, so yes, there is an encryption key that's on the data and where it's stored, and that encryption key is actually owned and managed by your IT team. So if you decide that your IT team, or you decide to revoke the access for anybody, a certain person, you can actually change that encryption key. Not even Microsoft can get at the data without your permission. So it is secured, it is encrypted, both when it's brought down to the local device, as well as when it's stored out in the cloud. So it's encrypted, protected out there, and you own that key. So yeah, that's a great question. And it's really important for you to understand that you own it and can control that. Great question. All right. So the most important element now of any of these applications is that list of contacts. Think of this as the way to look at all the different people in your system. Right now, it's sorted by membership. So typically we would have members and non-members in here, and you might keep non-members in here because they're family members. You might have a member that has a non-member spouse, and we need that individual included as maybe an emergency contact or as a relative, because they may request services as well. So it's important to support that ability. You can quickly search for information. So let's say they come in and I can do a quick search to say, hey, I know their last name is Wilson, or I want to search for, they know the last 4 digits of their member ID. I can do a wildcard search and it comes up with their specific record. So there's quick find capabilities in here, or I can do and I'm going to do a quick search, and this is what's called a global search, and it shows up all the information, again, only what data which I have permission to see, and presents all the different records related to Alicia. And you see how quick those queries are. It's this way. Even though there's thousands of records in these databases, these queries are very, very quick because all that data is indexed and available at a moment's notice for your team. So it's an important aspect. Plus, I can, not only do the search, but you can actually create your own. So this is an example of what we call a view that shows all the current contacts in the system. But let's say, and this is something you can do. You don't need us to make this change. You can say, I want to see age is less than or equal to 18. So now all of a sudden I got a query that says, hey, show me all the minors that are members. So I can see all that information. And now I'm like, oh yeah, I want to save this query. You can actually do this. You could save this as a new, what they call personalized view. So you don't need us to make this change. You can create these really cool queries of complex information in the system, and you can save that as a recurring view that you can actually access in the future. And then plus I have the ability to show charts. So let's say I could show all the members by a certain age group, and I could access the same information this way. I could click on that. I clicked on that column and it automatically filtered the members by that column and shows me that list. Or I only want to see the seniors that are in the system. So you see the record count. And now once I've got this list, hey, I want all these seniors. I want to send out a piece of mail, create a mailing report or something like that. I can now export this data if you need to Excel for other purposes, a mail merge program or something like that. That's absolutely, this is where the integration to the Microsoft 365 apps such as Excel and Word are built into the system, not something that we had to go build. It was just provided right in the core system. So now all of a sudden you've got that ability to export data and do something with it that you maybe want to do. Or you can use this as a way to generate emails, automated communication to your members that way. So you see there are lots of different ways to query that data and use the information in a way that it makes sense. So now I'm going to drill in and show you an example of an individual member record. And again, just keep in mind that this is everything. This is everything that's available. But let's say, for example, you don't use some of this information. You can actually hide this on the screen. You don't need, it's something that we would configure for you. But you can hide and show certain fields that maybe you don't want people that have access to this contact record, or maybe a field that you don't use. And one thing that's important here is like the social security number. I'm logged in as an administrator, so I get to see everything. But this key symbol on here indicates that's what's called field level security. So I may not have permission to see this, or I may have permission to see this contact record. But if I don't have permissions assigned to me to view the full social, I would probably only have access to see maybe the last 4 digits of their social security. So that is another way. So the security is applied to the overall system. So at the record level, the form level, and at the field level. So there's multiple different layers. And that's one of the things that a modern solution gives you, that flexibility to be able to control that kind of communication, or that visibility of information.
Bryan,
Michelle?
Yeah, we had a question, and it kind of goes off of some of the stuff that you're talking about as far as restricting access. This question asks, can you restrict access to the platform based on being on the network? So people, if they're maybe working from home, they couldn't access the data from home.
Yes. So if they have access, whether they're in the office or at home, that is typically a policy that would define what type of device that they're logging in from. So that's actually managing at a different level. So we see that scenario where it might be what we call a government furnished device, so that you can restrict them from accessing it from outside the domain. It has to be your staff provided device. So there's some mechanism to control that kind of access within the overall platform. But it's set up and configured at a user level, not necessarily at a global level. Yep, good question. All right. So now, once I have this information, I'm just going to briefly go through some of the different pieces of data that's available. I can, see their address history, and store information about that. Maybe their physical description information. Guess what? This is used in their ID card. So we actually provide an ID card application that connects to this data and prints their member ID card from the data that's provided on here. So you can have aliases or other names, maybe maiden names or other nicknames for the individual. Capture their education skills, emergency contacts. So I'm going to blow through these pretty quick, but keep in mind, if you don't manage this data or don't use this data today, this can be a way, where you can hide this information from the system. But it's really gives you a lot of capability to manage all the information. And another good one that I like to show is all the relationships. So this is what's used to actually build out the member tree, or their descendant or ancestor trees charts, and I'll show that in a moment. But it gives you that ability to define those complex relationships with an individual. So here's an example. I can click on this relationship record, and it shows that Alicia Wilson's biological mother is Mary Parks, because we set up that relationship, and you've got all this capability to define these complex relationships, legal status, guardianship, all those types of statuses around the relationship of that individual. And then, of course, so this might be information that's available to everybody, or available to staff to at least be able to read their core demographic information. But now what we have is the ability to create a record that what we call a member profile. This is private information that only the enrollment team would have access to view. The rest of any, housing department, education, other departments wouldn't even know that this record exists. So your enrollment team can manage this and set, what are they which tribe are they a member of? What is their actual member status? So you can see that, change their status to be deceased, or pending or relinquished or terminated. Capture all the details about membership categories to give you the ability to search for those members, and their ID card history, showing that, hey, the last time I've issued 5 ID cards for this individual, and the last one I printed was an adult card. So there's ways to manage all that history of the ID cards that are available. And then here's where we have automated mechanism to establish their eligibility for those members that are pending or applying for membership. All you have to do is select the biological mother and biological father and calculate the blood quanta. And what that does is it automatically populates the records from the mother and father's information, and it will help you establish whether they are eligible or not. You could actually override that as well. And once you override and create those blood quanta records directly, you can lock that so it doesn't change or accidentally change by clicking that option. And I'll briefly show you this option to show you the 3-generation ancestor tree. And it just shows you a simple example of this. Could be a very, based on all the data that's in the system, it could show this 3-generation tree in the blood quanta and their tribal membership for each of those individuals. So you can see how quickly and easy it is to be able to access this information and create these charts. And there's many different ways to, as Rita pointed out, you can export the data through things called Word templates or run reports that create those formatted reports. That could be a verification of enrollment. So I can print that out and it's going to populate this report directly from their member records. So this can be printed on letter stock or include the logo, whatever, to create those formatted reports that way. And the last thing I want to briefly touch on is the portal. So that was a brief run through of the enrollment application, but now through an application such as the portal, now this is a member-facing application that I can log in as myself and simulate that scenario. So you can manage the login information for that individual. And now you can have the ability for the member to be able to update their own information. You could see or require change requests. So that's one of the things. Maybe you don't want them changing their name or changing their address, but you can actually allow them to submit an address change request. And now you may upload documents, require them to upload a utility bill or something as proof of address. You can actually support that as a business process through the portal to submit all the information that is required for the different types of applications or services or whatever you're providing to individuals. So you can see I've got some sample enrollment applications that I've submitted out here, but it gives you the idea that you can create a wizard-like interface to use their member data and create applications and forms to require that they fill out specific information, their requirements, and then say, hey, now create that new application. So you get to see that ability to be able to submit those forms through the portal, and you can manage content out here, either static content or show them their personal data. So there's many different opportunities with a portal application such as this. And with that, I will now switch back to our slides. That's a quick sneak peek. I know it was really, really fast. I was going through those screens in a very quick way. If you want to learn more, here's a link that you can go out and click this link or type this in, and you can learn more about the applications that are available. And hey, you know what? We will help you with your tribal council. If they've got concerns and you want to modernize your systems and you're trying to get your tribal council to understand the benefits and what it can provide, we will absolutely help you with that conversation to help them understand how it can help your tribal organization serve your members better. And if you want to request a personalized demo, please reach out to anybody on the team and we will schedule that call with your team, and you can invite as many people as you like to have that personalized demo. And then-
I thought that was really great. And I have a question for Rita, but while I ask that, I'm going to actually put up a poll that's asking everybody on the call today, are you using still, paper spreadsheets, or are you using another type of a managed service? So if you guys want to take that poll. And the question for Rita is, have you had, using this new modern solution, has it helped you obtain grant funds?
Yes. We obtained a state grant fund for the 2020 census. I constantly feed data information, like unemployment, to our grant writers. She's always asking for different types of information, so I can run a report and find out and get her the data. She actually has access, but she's a writer. She's not, kind of computer thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to, create the view or the report to get her the data that she's looking for in particular grant. I do it for our legal team sometimes as well, when they're here's a grant, or they're renegotiating a contract and they're looking for the numbers of something specific. Yeah, definitely.
And
Here.
That's really cool. And I also have a question, like you had said earlier that, your council is now able to go into this and pull different reports. So do they go in and pull those reports themselves, or do they still ask you for that report and you just like click, here it is? Just wonder how you manage that.
They have an executive secretary that does go in and access it.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'll be honest, the tribal council secretary, she does have access to it. She worked for the tribe before she became a tribal council person. So she's very familiar with it. She was actually working in the department that needed access to social security numbers.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's got to help quite a bit. Okay, so I have another question here that's asking, let's see, if we do move forward with a data management solution, what is the first thing our team can expect in the process of migration from using a spreadsheet to a modern program?
Yep, that's great. Go ahead, Rita. Go ahead, Rita.
I think the spreadsheet was easiest for me because the legacy system, all I had to do was take it all down, look at this, review the spreadsheet for duplicates. I mean, I probably didn't even have 20 changes that I had to make and send them in the spreadsheet. It's all on them.
No, that's great. And that's exactly what it is. So that could either use that spreadsheet as a way to visually, walk the data, make sure it's all correct, and then run that import, or we go through, and what we do is set up a temporary or a sandbox area where we'll run through that data migration. If we're going to script it from a legacy application, we'll actually go through that process multiple times and iterate and verify the data in the sandbox area, make sure it's all correct, do some spot checks before we actually run it for live for the production data, and then take the old data that you have and make it read only or archive it. So it's still available to you, but maybe it's just read only so that nobody changes it, but yet they start accessing the new system to manage all that information. Great question.
Yeah. And what has been the time frame, Rita, when you guys started, this process of moving everything over? How long was it for you, and how intense was that for your staff during the transition time?
I think it was 4 or 5 months. Really, it was just the training time was maybe a week. For us, it wasn't difficult. It was Arctic IT did it all. I mean, all I said was, okay, here's the system, and they gave us training on how to use it. They gave us training manuals. I can call and ask them something I don't know how to do. They'll help me with it. Really good about that. And even to the point where, oh, well, there's a YouTube out there, so if you're really looking for something, it's been done before.
Right.
Minimal impact to us. I mean, if anything, it may have taken me a week to go through the spreadsheets, just looking to clean the data. I'm an IT person, so I like clean data myself, so.
And to add on to that, I mean, from a support standpoint, like Rita pointed out, I mean, we do view this as a partnership. I mean, that's part of the reason why we recommend the Arctic Ascend support, agreement, because that allows us to not only, have future conversations, maybe feature enhancements. You get a voice and saying, hey, I need this process change. That could be a new feature request that goes into the next version of tribal platforms. So you get a voice in that. But we do view this as a partnership, and us working with you to help you modernize your different operations or your different departments and learn more about how your team works. So you just realize that it is an ongoing relationship. It's not a deploy it and walk away. We're there to work with you going into the future.
I'm interested, Rita, have you used the feature where you go to like a tribal event and have have it available for members to come and update their information, or have you used that feature at all?
I have not, but we need to do a census, and it is an objective to bring, the computer with us. I won't lug around a printer, an ID printer, mine is too big. But certainly that's what the census is about, updating the information, gathering information about what the membership wants the tribe to be headed towards, what they need, what they want to be done within the tribe. I do know that, speaking of the mobility, our police department or Homeland Security, they actually use the database to look at Aboriginal rights stickers on vehicles. So they can look it up by membership. Okay, who owns this car? If it's parked on the side, if another agency calls them and says, hey, it's an Aboriginal rights sticker, do you know who it is? And they can look it up while they're driving around,
That's really cool. That's a really neat feature to have.
I mean, we've seen that as well. I mean, just having the tribal police have access, even read access to their name, their membership status, their address, their phone contact information. Just if there's an emergency situation, they can look that information up on the enrollment system, on their phone or on their laptop in their squad car, and they can have access to that live data. So that's an important element to support your tribal police as well.
Yeah, indeed. Well, that was all the questions that we had, you guys, for this session. I think I said this last time we did an Arctic IT webinar. Like, I love being able to look into and, see in the sandbox and really see the whole thing working. I think that's so helpful. And to talk to somebody, a tribe who's actually using the product is really cool. So Rita, thank you so much for coming on today. And Bryan, thank you for sharing. Anything you guys want to add before we wrap up?
No. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I appreciate you staying through the whole presentation.
Yeah.
Great questions.
Yeah, really good questions today. So thanks, guys. And look for the copy of this coming to your email. The next Arctic webinar is May 23rd, and keep an eye out for that. And we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.